Now at 11, it's the beginning of a rebuilding process in Charlotte for the Carolina Panthers. After 9 years and some highs and some lows, Ron Rivera is out.
The most important thing we can do as an organization is put people in a position to be successful.
Why Tepper says he made that decision today and what we just learned about the former coach.
And another major project in Charlotte is over budget. Now your taxpayer dollars will pay for the rising price tag over at Memorial Stadium.
And this is a unique Christmas tradition. All the families have one sad thing in common: the significance of a single tree lighting for so many. You're watching Eyewitness News live tonight at 11 o'clock. And tonight the search is on for a new head coach for the Panthers. Thanks for joining us. I'm Scott Wickersham.
And I'm Erica Bryant. We first broke into programming this afternoon after the team fired Ron Rivera. Since then, our sports director Phil Orban talked to owner David Tepper about the timing of this decision to let the coach of 9 years go.
It was clear when we met with team owner David Tepper, this was not an easy decision for him to make. He said he has great respect for Ron Rivera, but in the end, it was time to put his mark on this team. Since taking over the franchise a year and a half ago, David Tepper has overhauled the business side of the organization. Tepper's first major move on the football side of things weighed on him heavily.
It's not easy to have those kind of conversations with people you hold in such high regard.
Ultimately, it was his respect for Ron Rivera that led to his midseason dismissal. Other teams had begun looking for replacement head coaches. Tepper wanted to get the same head start while remaining professional with Rivera.
I was not going to go out there and start looking and do things behind Ron Rivera's back.
In the business that made David Tepper a billionaire, he's highly analytical, so he values that in a new head coach. But his roots in Pittsburgh will also demand a certain personality type.
Obviously, there's a toughness and discipline that's known for that city and for that team. And so I'm not going to ignore that, and something I grew up with.
The Pittsburgh Steelers, the team Tepper owned a piece of prior to purchasing the Panthers, are also known for their stability. With just 3 head coaches in the past half-decade, I asked Tepper the importance of hitting on his first major football hire in Carolina.
You bet your ass it's important, okay? I don't want to be having a revolving door of coaches here. Hopefully we can have somebody here for a long while.
Coming up in sports, Matt Harris will be joined by Panthers game day contributor Joe Person of The Athletic as he helps to break down the next steps for this organization. Back to you.
Thank you, Phil. Quarterback Cam Newton posted on Instagram shortly after the announcement saying he will, quote, "forever be grateful for the impact you've had on my life. I can go on, but most importantly, thank you." And on Twitter, tight end Greg Olson said in part, quote, "I'm so glad to have shared this 9-year journey together with you." And quarterback Kyle Allen also posted on Instagram saying, quote, "This man believed in me when not many did. I'm forever grateful our paths crossed and you gave me this opportunity." Our Deshaun Brown talked to Coach Jennifer King, who made history as the first woman to earn a coaching internship with the Carolina Panthers.
And she told us this would not have been possible again without Coach Rivera, and that he would often volunteer his time to help female coaches earn an NFL opportunity. Today, King said that she knew the firing, of course, was possible given how the season was going, but still, she's disappointed.
Everything that I've done since my first opportunity with the Panthers, it's because of him. He gave me that initial opportunity to get my foot in the door, and then I did a good job and did the work. But ultimately, he was the one that made that decision to allow me to be a part of his staff.
And she told us if Rivera wants to keep coaching, she doesn't think he'll be out of a job for long.
Rivera's retreat from the spotlight gives a Belmont native a chance to shine. Panthers secondary coach Perry Fewell is now stepping in as interim coach in a move that David Tepper says could be a, quote, audition. Fewell is a 1980 graduate of South Point High School. He has 22 years of coaching experience in the NFL, including a Super Bowl win as defensive coordinator of the New York Giants. This is his first season with the Carolina Panthers, and we do expect to hear from him tomorrow afternoon. Now, Rivera told a Panthers staff writer today that he has so many fond memories here in Charlotte and with the Carolina Panthers. He is expected to address the media tomorrow morning.
Count on Channel 9 to be there. We'll send updates right to your phone. Just download our WSOC TV News app.
Well, overnight, much of the Charlotte and surrounding area heading back to the freezing mark overnight. But meteorologist John Aaron says You won't need those winter coats for long, though, John.
That's right, Erica. This is going to be a quick burst of cold air. We all remember this morning. It was so cold out there and windy. It'll be chilly tomorrow morning with maybe some similar numbers from the thermometer, but we won't see much wind at all. And really, this cool down will not last terribly long either. We're already starting to see some evidence of wind out of the west to southwest right now, but you can still see temperatures dropping down into the upper 30s. So despite that kind of slower drop this time, we are going to fall down, at least briefly, below the freezing mark in Charlotte, probably between 6 and 7 a.m. But notice we bounce back quickly by about 8 o'clock already. We're looking at some great weather again, and really it's going to feature some roller coaster temperatures. Coming up, we're going to talk about when we get a big blast of winter weather that will last all the way into the afternoon. That's coming up.
Charlotte's Memorial Stadium has a long history in our city, but renovations now to make it better are already over their budget. Our Joe Bruno's live outside the stadium tonight in Elizabeth. So, Joe, how do Mecklenburg County leaders plan to make up the difference?
With taxpayer dollars, Scott, major projects recently in Charlotte have had a problem of encountering overruns. This time it's one of Mecklenburg County's projects, the construction of a new Memorial Stadium. Commissioners are throwing more than $5 million taxpayer dollars at it to make up for this over-budget project. In its heyday, Memorial Stadium hosted President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, major football games, and huge concerts featuring artists ranging from Prince to ZZ Top. There is no questioning this iconic venue's history.
And it's been a fixture in this community for a very long time.
Mecklenburg County leaders are focused on its future. These are renderings of what they hope the stadium will look like in 2021. It will be home to the Charlotte Independent soccer team, concerts, high school sports, and more. The problem is, county leaders just found out the project will cost $5.5 million more than expected.
This is definitely due to economic factors and nothing that we've done internally.
The county is blaming this on higher than expected construction costs and a limited number of available and interested contractors. Portions of the project that have gone out to bid are coming in 15 to 20% higher. These overruns have become common in Charlotte lately. Convention center upgrades came in $16.5 million higher than projected. The Cross Charlotte Trail, $77 million. County commissioners unanimously voted to provide the extra $5.5 million tax dollars. Doing so will keep the project on time and the design won't be compromised.
This additional funding will allow us to complete the project.
The county manager says she is now doing a comprehensive review of all capital projects to see if there are any others that are facing this type of issue. Scott?
A limited number of available and interested contractors. That shows you that they're doing pretty well if they're having a hard time finding someone to do the job. All right, thanks, Joe. Our government reporter, Joe Bruno, live tonight.
A wild crash caught on camera in Gastonia ended with a van hitting a light pole and then flipping onto its roof. A viewer sent us video from New Hope Road. While police have not confirmed what happened out there, the viewer says a van was going the wrong way near East Ridge Mall tonight and nearly hit a car. In the video, you can kind of see the van hitting the center median and then taking out a light pole. Police say they're investigating the crash out there, but they won't say exactly what happened or if anyone has been arrested. Some families came together tonight for an annual tradition that they wouldn't wish on anyone.
They spoke to our Glenn Counts about the change they're hoping for this year.
Alonzo Parker, October 3rd, 2019.
This is a unique Christmas celebration, and all the families have one thing in common.
Death is final. It is for real.
Clydea Davis' son, Don Quavius, was murdered in May at a university area pool party. This is her first CMPD tree lighting ceremony for the family members of homicide and fatal traffic accident victims.
I'm able to come today because I know that he would want me to keep on living.
At any Christmas party, you would expect to find children, and sadly, this one is no different.
I think it's kind of sad about all that stuff that's going on, and I think it should be stopped, basically.
Brandon Nicholson's father, Preston, was shot and killed last year. His killer has not been caught. Brandon's mother says it has taken a lot of work to help him cope.
Just knowing that you're around people that has been through the same thing that you've been through, so that was refreshing because it's been a rough year.
Rough because after every murder this year, the family relives some of what they went through last year. So as loved ones, they come to this gathering hoping that things will change.
We as parents, we're not going to accept this. And we're going to at least try to talk to the community like there's better ways to handle situations.
In Charlotte, Glenn Counts, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
A nursing home in South Charlotte did not make a good grade in its latest inspection. Now, they visited Brookside South Park yesterday on Park Road, and they gave this score of 88. That is a B. The inspectors noticed live roaches in the laundry room and dirty sheets and blankets on beds throughout the facility. This is the lowest score that facility has had dating back to 2013, and it's only the 6th nursing home in Mecklenburg County to get a B this year. Well, it was 3 years ago when bullets went through a home in Salisbury and killed this 7-year-old girl.
She had her entire life ahead of her. Today, police and family once again pushed to try to find some answers in her tragic death. Police say that a drive-by shooter fired into the home on Harold Street in 2016, and she was hit as she was sleeping in her grandmother's bed. 3 years later, police still have not found her killer, and today her grandmother spoke with Channel 9. They say the holidays are especially hard, especially when memories pop up on social media.
That just brought back so many memories, so many memories. I miss her so much. I just wish that her case would get solved soon. And I know they're gonna solve it, you know. I don't have no doubt in my mind. I contact them all the time. They contact me.
Now, the death happened during a pretty violent year for the city of Salisbury. Since the death, city leaders have drastically lowered violent crime. And in October, the city got a $500,000 federal grant to help even more. They've created a Rowan Regional Crime Intelligence Center inside the police department. Officers from agencies in the county meet with a crime analyst. They share intelligence and they use technology to cut crime.
Well, we should be able to bounce back up nicely after a chilly afternoon tomorrow morning. However, I'm tracking some real Arctic chill that looks to be building in. That'll keep the temperatures very cold all day. We'll pinpoint when that arrives.
A doorbell camera, it can show you who's at your door, but for one family, they say it prevented their home from burning down. Doorbell cameras can, of course, show you who's at your door or when you have a package dropped off.
But a man in Tennessee says it saved his house from burning down. Now, that beeping you hear is the smoke detector going off at the home in Knoxville. They were away for Thanksgiving and got alert on their doorbell camera. They called a neighbor who tried to put it out, but that didn't work. So they called 911, which they maybe should have done first. And then the homeowners watched as the whole thing unfolded live on their cameras.
Undetected, this fire could have absolutely destroyed their house.
To know that your family didn't have to go through with it and your friends dealt with it, and you come back and you're blessed, you know.
The fire department says it started with some electrical wiring in the ceiling.
Tonight, we have new video that shows a Concord City Councilman arrested along a South Carolina beach.
Really? Are you going to arrest me?
Yeah, you're under arrest.
Yeah. Okay.
For disorderly conduct.
You want these back or?
Yeah, you can just give me a set of yours.
This is going to be bad. This is going to be really bad.
What is?
I can't believe you're doing this.
I am the Mayor Pro Tem of the city.
I don't care.
I don't give a You are out of line.
Good job. Good job tonight.
Now, police in Folly Beach had that body camera rolling. They say in September, Councilman Brian King was interrupting an unrelated investigation they were conducting when he was arrested. Charges from the arrest were eventually dropped, but last night, King stepped down as Mayor Pro Tem. New tonight, we now know the ID of a man who was killed in Northeast Charlotte. Police say that Perry Bostic was shot and left in a burning car yesterday along Barrington Drive near the plaza. So far, police have not made an arrest, and the investigation is ongoing.
Charlotte is trying to make a name in the tech field, but a new ranking says we've slipped back a little bit. Last year, a group called CompTIA listed Charlotte as the #1 tech town in the country, but this year, number 6. They looked at the number of IT jobs and workers. Raleigh came in second this year, finishing behind Austin, Texas, #1 this year.
Major League Soccer officials say they plan to announce the city that will get the next expansion team in that city where the new team will be located. Our partners at the Charlotte Business Journal report that a timeline for an announcement, though, has not been finalized. League owners plan to meet in New York this week for regularly scheduled league meetings. Now, the league's commissioner has previously said in his State of the League address last month that Charlotte's bid looks pretty impressive. City council members, though, have not publicly talked about a $100 million request from Carolina Panthers owner David Tepper to help with that bid. Tepper wants to spend up to $212 million to upgrade Bank of America Stadium and also to help the Panthers team headquarters and practice facility built in Rock Hill.
Are you looking for work? There's a job fair tomorrow at 11 a.m. at the Embassy Suites on Arsleytown Boulevard in South Charlotte. Employers like Lending Tree, Lyft, and Pantar Solutions will be there, and it goes until 2 p.m. He served our country for 6 years, and today this Iraq War veteran was gifted a car to help his family get around. Caliber Collision and State Farm gave veteran James Malabone this newly refurbished vehicle there, replacing his 1999 era car that often left him stranded. His wife drives an old minivan to get their 6 kids to school and activities and doctor's visits, and Veterans Bridge Home nominated him for that donation, and I'm sure it is much appreciated with that many children. They're probably always in the car.
Absolutely.
Non-stop.
We want to go now to meteorologist John Ahrens. He's prepping you overnight and before you head out in the morning.
That's right, Erica, and I think we're going to be dealing with some chilly temperatures to start out your Wednesday, but it certainly will not end that way. So it's going to be kind of a dress in layers kind of a forecast. We're going to be moving up quickly, though, after that morning. So these numbers that we're going to be experiencing will be quite temporary, maybe only lasting about a half hour or so. Definitely no wind to deal with. And if you could just make it through that initial chill, you're good to go. Wow, what a day for your Wednesday. A lot of sunshine, winds changing out to the west to southwest. That'll help warm us up. It'll be about 55 by noon, near 60 in the afternoon. Now think about that. We'll start the day near freezing and climb up to near 60 in December. Pretty unusual. Reason for that is the air is so dry out there. It will heat up quickly. Probably gonna need some chapstick or some lotion. Now tomorrow's forecast, sunshine all the way up in Hickory and up and through Catawba and the Claremont communities. Low to mid 50s, maybe a little bit cooler at noon, 58 by 5 o'clock. How about the mountains? Hit with some bad weather the past couple days. Much nicer for you. Sunshine, the clouds on the west side of the mountain. We will see a weak weather maker come through, probably pass more toward Virginia's direction. It won't be much of a problem at all for Boone. However, the winds will crank up again in the high country tomorrow night in through early Thursday. A wind advisory in effect for parts of the mountains. Your latest forecast is always at your fingertips with the WSOC weather app. We're going to focus our attention after this nice weather for the next couple of days to what's going on for the weekend. If you were watching on TV 64, we showed you one computer model forecasting more of a quiet Saturday and Sunday. This model is different, keeps it nice on Saturday, so we're pretty sure that that's going to be the good one. But Sunday might pick up a little more moisture, especially on near the Smokies and the upstate of South Carolina. We might see a couple rain showers up in Boone and Shelby, Kings Mountain, Morganton, some of those areas Sunday. But I really think it's going to be more late at night. So most of your day looks good. Check out the 7-day forecast and notice, yeah, it's chilly in the morning, but you move up to the 60s. That's pretty good. Next week, big time Arctic air. What? I'm thinking Tuesday into Wednesday next week, where it's cold, and we mean it's cold.
Okay.
Like all the way through. Like tomorrow's not that cold.
You mean next like a high of like 44?
Maybe.
I'm just guessing.
Sure. 45. That far out? Sure.
Thank you for helping us feel better
but
about
you're preparing
tomorrow.
us mentally because we need a week to prepare for that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right,
thanks, John. A temporary fix after a giant hole formed on the interstate, damaging several vehicles. What you need to know if your car is damaged on a state highway. Duke is the first hospital to transplant a donor heart after it stopped beating as part of a natural death.
Typically, heart transplants require a donor to be declared brain dead first, but a clinical trial found patients with end-stage heart failure no longer should have to wait for that. So Sunday, a military veteran received the first of this kind transplant.
He's doing well. He's doing very well. He's recovering very well from his operation.
We think that advancements like this will actually close the gap to some degree and offer hearts to more patients.
Duke is one of 5 U.S. medical centers working on this procedure.
Road crews have repaired a massive pothole along I-85 after about a dozen cars hit it and had to pull over. Now, we first told you about this problem last night at 11, and since then we had Chopper 9 Sky Zoom flyover found patches in the road where the hole was near Freedom Drive. James Postel is one driver who said his vehicle hit that hole.
I was a motor T operator in the Marine Corps. I've drove about everywhere, sands of Iraq. You know, I've been Mount Fuji, everywhere in between, and I've hit some pretty big holes, and that was a pretty big hole.
Postel said that he submitted a claim through the North Carolina DOT, but he and several others with damage will need to pay out of pocket until they find out about the claims and the response. We posted a link to the North Carolina DOT page for property damage claims on our WSOC app. Once you submit a claim, if you have a problem with a pothole, the North Carolina DOT will work with the Attorney General's office to determine if you should be compensated. Now, the AG's office tells us that they handle these on a case-by-case basis, and sometimes they end up going to court.
Panthers owner David Tepper called it a very emotional day for him personally after firing head coach Ron Rivera. I'm now joined by Joe Person of The Athletic. Joe, you heard from Tepper. Why make this decision now rather than wait until after the season ended?
Well, he said a couple interesting things. He talked about hearing talk of a couple other teams already having search committees, active search committees out there looking at potential candidates. Tepper said that he did not want to be at a competitive disadvantage. But then he also, to your point about the emotions, he also said he didn't want to do Ron Rivera like that, essentially, that he didn't want to be going behind Ron Rivera's back. He has too much respect for Rivera, too much respect for the man he is to do that kind of thing.
Where do we go from here? Because I don't think that this is going to be the last change that we see Tepper make.
No, it's interesting because, as you know, he retained Marty Herney. But it's a little unclear about this assistant GM / VP of operations job. It almost sounds like it's going to be kind of like a peer of Marty Herney's rather than like someone who's going to be working for Marty Herney. So that, I want to know a little bit more about that. And then fascinated to see where this search goes. Listening to Tepper, kind of my knee-jerk reaction was that it's going to be a young, analytically minded, offensive coach from the NFL rather than a college coach.
He is Joe Person of The Athletic. Joe, thank you very much for your time.
You got it, man.
Good deeds were done across our area today for Giving Tuesday. How local groups help children of fallen service members.
Today, volunteers teamed up to support children of fallen military members.
They stuffed more than 200 Carolina Panthers themed bags with toys. On Saturday, 144 children will come to Charlotte Douglas Airport and each will receive one of the bags and they'll board a flight to Disney World.
I happen to be a Gold Star kid, so my dad was killed in World War II. And I understand what it's like to grow up without a parent that, is there all the time. So they need this, and the attitude they come in here with is unbelievable.
Wow. Former Carolina Panthers Mike Rucker and Steve Smith helped out today, and they certainly believe that this effort makes a big difference.
Well, this is my favorite kind of cold because it doesn't last long. It's just an hour or two, and
I
then
like
we bounce
it.
back. Yeah, Next week's not so much because
Okay.
after that rain on Tuesday, that's a cold. That'll last a while.
Yeah. All right. Well, next couple of days, enjoy the sun. Don't look too far ahead.
Absolutely.
All right. Have a great night, everybody.
Wake up with Eyewitness News at 4:30 a.m.
WSOC TV is a Cox Media Group station.